And that means you're winner of the first ever stop of the LZ World Tour and getting an all-expenses trip to another international round. Give it up for Lil Tex, Nate Hamilton.
We're doing our jobs.
Let's do it.
All right, this is Nate Hamilton, Formula D driver and now YouTuber. Are you a YouTuber?
Not really, no, not at all. I'm putting out YouTube videos for fun, but they're not doing good at all, so don't go there. Don't check those out.
Well, first of all, I talked with him about being a Formula D driver and like where to go from there. We made that video. You can search it on my YouTube channel and see what he said about all that stuff. But we're a couple years past those last videos. I love revisiting all this stuff. And he was talking about making media, and he has his own t-shirt business and printing business, and he obviously still has his Formula D car. And today we're here at the LZ World Tour. And what I was gonna ask you is, going off of our previous conversations, we're 2 years farther. Lots of people wonder what happened to guys, you know, once you stop Formula D. We talked about you had a turbo V8, you took that off, you made your car a little tiny bit more basic, but basically you're taking a retired FD car around and you're trying to make YouTube content. You're trying to promote something, you know, you have stickers on the cars. What's going on? What is successful? What's not? Or have you just like, because my own driving is just me having fun. And I make my money outside of that stuff. I don't think people understand that. Like, I don't have a merch booth here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Well, what are you doing?
I mean, the quick summary would be, I was in Formula Drift. I wasn't getting the results I wanted. I didn't know enough about partnerships and business. I started a screen printing shop because that's what I was doing prior to drifting, like in all.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, that was able to take off and allow me to go drifting more. So we print a lot for a lot of the guys out here, and it's just, we're connected to this kind of scene, if you will. And so yeah, this is a retired FD car. We just keep the maintenance up. She rips, and pretty much we're out here to have fun. We are creating YouTube content, but I wouldn't say that's why we're here by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I learned more about business and how partnerships work and how to bring value to companies and which companies to sign up for and which ones are not good to sign up for. And just overall, I felt like I matured a bit since the Formula Drift days. And in this, now we're out here having fun. Adam's nice enough to bring us out often. And then we're also doing a tour, which is just comprised of grid lives and fun events. So we're kind of just living life right now.
Would you say you found your groove and this is something you could continue doing forever? Or, you know what I mean? What's going on?
Yeah, I think so. So like, when I was younger, I almost felt that a lot of opportunities came too quick. Now with the business, I'm able to hire mechanics. I'm able to have them drive the cars out here so I can fly in and fly out. I just had my first kid, Indy. So basically, there's just been a lot of progression behind the scenes, and then that's now allowing me to show back up in these videos, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen in the next 5 years for you for drifting?
I think I'm gonna lean into more partnerships and more opportunities with just things that are going on and be more available. And I am still very, very much operating a business. So as I can scale that up, I can kind of get out of my own way, allowing myself to go drifting more. So my goals are to just keep allowing others to help me grow versus trying to do it all myself. And then in that, hopefully I see you guys at the track more and more, right?
So when you say like partnerships, what does that mean? It means you get free tires so you can continue driving, or are you doing something interesting with these partners so that you like build a career, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So for example, for anyone out there watching, it's like 1 year I'm paying for tires, delivering content, working with them on what they need. Year 2, they're giving me free tires, delivering content, working on what they need. Year 3, I'm getting tires and money, working on what they need. Year 4, maybe like, hey, we want you to go do this thing, right? So like just being available for those things. When people want me to go do something, I can say yes and kind of expand what I'm doing. That's kind of my goal.
Okay. Are you happy with drifting right now for yourself?
Dude, I love drifting right now. I was using an analogy of like, so imagine in Formula Drift when I had like my life on the line.
Yeah.
I was in the car and I was just tight, right? Like I'm driving tight, I'm all nervous. If I wreck it, I'm freaking out. Nowadays, this car's been through so much abuse. I literally do not mind if things happen. Obviously, I don't want them to happen, but I'm just loose and free. So I'm definitely enjoying drifting way more today than I ever have.
When we make these conversations and stuff, I think most people that get into drifting, especially at your age group, they went to 5 or 6 drift events, they kind of figured out how to make their car work, they hung out with friends, and then they're like, it's time to get the Formula D license. It's time to go pro. And that was the only thing people really found as the end game, was to go professional like that.
Yep.
But I see more and more of you guys find something outside of that now.
Yeah. Well, and so to that point, when I was in Formula Drift, obviously that was like the childhood dream to become pro. Me and Hurt were talking last night about how literally I just did that way too soon. You know what I mean? So like when people look at my career, they're probably like, he's, you know, he came in, he went out, he's never going to be back. That type of an approach where I just feel like I'm just getting started. And I know that can sound backwards, but I really do feel like that. So to the point of trying to just get that status, I would say just keep grinding, right? Until you kind of work with enough people to, you have to go to that moment. That would be my goal.
Interesting. Well, it's very interesting to see some of you guys find so much success out of Formula D, even with your cars and your driving, and then move on your business and everything. I see you're doing t-shirt stuff with Adam.
Yep.
You're obviously like, how do you say? We're all finding success in our own weird niches and working towards something, and we have no idea what it is most of the time. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be doing Drift Week, or I would be, this is like the YouTube Olympics.
Yeah.
And we're not even real YouTubers, but we're associated with it all. And like, where are we going to be in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Keep thinking that.
Yeah.
I need a good answer from you. Aren't you building a new car, or you don't want to talk about that?
Yeah, so, I mean,
You don't have to talk
I don't
about
really want to, like, so long story short, I am working with a partner to build a new car. So that's super exciting for me. It's going to feel way out of left field for you guys, but I'm super stoked to kind of debut that soon. Shout out to Aaron's channel. This is like a first.
Well, you don't have to say anything about it. I was just going to say, like...
Well, I have been repurposing and using a single vehicle for like so long, like 7 years plus, you know? So like, I don't know, you can do a lot with a little, and that's kind of what my career has been. You know, I haven't been like in a motorsports background for my family or anything. I just slowly built all of this up. And to the screen printing point, I felt that I could offer a service to the drivers because I was screen printing and creating my own gear already. And then I just thought, wow, it would be cool to extend that to everybody else. And that's kind of how and why that's been taking off, because we just kind of the solution for drivers, and the flow of how we handle you guys is like just leaning on how we would handle ourselves, right? So I think for those watching, basically trying to add to drifting versus take from drifting was the synopsis of what I'm trying to do.
Okay. My last question is going to be kind of odd. So you're doing media, and you were making fun of the fact that you didn't think it was successful enough or making you money. Obviously at your scale of media, it's not making you money unless you have partnerships and stuff. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Are you going to continue doing media? Is it worthwhile? All that. Go ahead.
All right, so Aaron, you gotta basically throw on the screen right here, like the 144's Printhouse Instagram. So the point of the story is, through the t-shirts, I'm able to have a full-time employee that creates media. And in this, when you print with us, we film customer highlights, and we basically try to give you more than you paid for. So in this, we're just creating media for everybody that prints with us. Then at the same time, I'm like, and you're headed to the track. So that's where our boy Tito comes in, allowing us to create YouTube videos with not a lot of pressure of the results, because we're basically doing it for the Printhouse.
Wait, this is backwards. Instead of doing it for a YouTube audience, the audience is only the people getting stuff printed, and then they can utilize that stuff that you're making for their own social media?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, keep going, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking through it.
No, I'm creating content for people who print with us, because I understand, like, they print their products, but they also need to go market it. So on the back end, when they print with us, I'm just like, and here's these videos. And then they're very thankful because it helps them go market. And I know this because I know how they're going to present and then release their stuff.
Are you releasing that stuff on your own YouTube channel, or are you just giving it directly to the customers?
Right now, we're focusing primarily on Instagram, really, and delivering to the customer. So we just
interesting.
Yeah, we do like photos and videos. You'll see on the Printhouse page, but there's photos, videos, and then that just lives. When they say drop it, we drop it, and we all kind of share marketplaces right there.
Okay, I have one more question now, because I see Exceller on there big, and it looks like they're your title sponsor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if you're not concentrating on your media and your own social media distribution and like delivering content to your audience, what do you do for Exceller, and how do you like have deliverables for them, and like how do you make them happy?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because it is kind of like it's like, how do I word that? There's definitely a fine line between that, right? So as I lean into the Printhouse, the racing seems to suffer. As I go racing, the Printhouse seems to suffer. So it's a fine line in between that. What I am doing with Tito, our media guy, is we're basically picking a few partners each time we go out, and we deliver directly to them. So we are also delivering content to our partners, but it's basically based off of which partners want to use that content. So some of them need photos, some of them need videos. So I just call them and I go, what do you need? What can I do for you? And that's what we're up to there. So yeah. it's like, I think the racing side of media has been hurting. Like my Instagram has not been growing and stuff because I am less focused on feeding it and more focused on the Printhouse. And you can see that.
Well, you have to make real money so that you can support a baby and everything else.
Yeah.
It's a weird double-edged sword. It's the same thing with my Instagram. I've been right at like 100K or something like that for more than a year or two, and it literally dies as fast as it goes up.
Yeah.
And there's no end game for me necessarily. I just want to host good events and like give people happiness at the events and do all this kind of stuff and like the Drift Week experience and everything else. So I'm not concentrating on my YouTube people. I'm just using YouTube to push out my own version of drifting, I guess you could say. It's so weird, all this stuff.
I follow that.
And what's really weird too is like we're discussing you. I think you're more interesting and the characters behind drifting are more interesting than the cars now. But we've always focused on the cars.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, but like my car's been the same for so long. It's like everybody knows it. It's really just maintenance. So it's like,
yeah, but it's still up to date. If you go look around, there's no cars that are necessarily faster and more competitive than yours here.
dude, no, this thing rips.
And in fact, all of the cooler cars than ours, such as both Supras, the A90 Supras, or anything else, I would say they're less competitive. They're just more interesting, and it's good to keep get new people into drifting because those cars are cool looking, or they sound cool or whatever it is. I think modern. These are classic cars to kids.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just being diverse, like Aaron's saying, right? Like offering a service to drifting while going drifting kind of keeps me out of the chaos of just trying to highlight a car or just how you build the car, how you fix the car. Like I'm a little bit outside of that bubble and just more about how I'm operating and how the tour runs and how the print shop runs, you know?
Very cool.
So,
well, I just want to say also it's very cool. Nate has been a Texas guy for a very long time. Well, your whole life, whatever.
The whole thing.
But when did you start driving? 2010-ish?
yeah, I think so. Like 10, 9?
2010. He was the generation of the guys that had support from their parents because you're obviously too young to do all that stuff. And then slowly he became self-sustaining. Now he's a business owner. You know, you grew up. It's very cool to see all these drivers because I'm so damn old now. You know, grow up and do this stuff. And now you have your own kid and you're going to see a new generation doing this stuff. Drifting's getting old. It's so hilarious.
Yep.
So
Shout out to the RPF ones.
oh yeah.
Been on those like my whole life.
He's
Aaron
pushing his
knows.
sponsors. They're the easiest wheels ever to mount. No one understands that.
For sure. And to the parents' point, it's like as dad came in and was starting to help me, at some points it almost hurts you, right? So even if you're getting support from your parents, just make sure that you keep an eye on like how the parents are helping you and just keep learning from all those moments, because sometimes, like in my case, things came to me. I got in a really good group of people with Chris and Jared Deanda and Vaughn, and there was so much opportunity I didn't even know what to do with it. So like, beware of that, right?
Oh, I just had a crazy thought off of that. So you were of a generation where we had a bunch of people, I don't want to name them all, that all had parental support, but you're the only one that still drives. Can you think about that?
Yeah,
That's crazy. I wonder why that is.
I'm probably not the only one. There's someone out there.
You could name 5 people of your generation around then, or just directly in front of you. They all are no longer drivers.
Well, I mean,
for various reasons.
I feel like in our world, it's like the Will Parsons and the Denofas, and like that's kind of how I feel like that was my like class. You know what I mean? So there's some out there.
Okay. They weren't the ones that got helped by parents, so I was thinking the people that were younger. Like when you got into it, Will was already 25, 27.
I see.
And Chelsea is his own person. You know what I mean? Chelsea kind of defies everything.
And
I was thinking of the Pro-Am guys that didn't make it.
I see.
You see what I'm saying?
I see, yeah.
Because there was about 5 guys, Russell Stewart, Tyler Cox, a bunch of guys that all had amazing parental support and got FD licenses, but they all burned out pretty quickly, and you were the only one that continued driving. They all had to, well, aside from Tyler, the others became like amazing fabricators, and they found like ancillary positions within drifting, but not as drivers.
So maybe
you're still a driver.
Maybe that's where I rode that line or that wave, like, meaning I did have support from my family, right? But at the same time, like, it was a lot more like physical than it was monetary. Like, my parents, I had to work a ton, right? So when I came out with the Customs Unlimited, like blue chassis with the motor setup and the V8 stuff, I had worked over a year without driving. Like, I had fell off the street drifting and built my own engine, and like, it took me so long to even get into drifting. So maybe that's where I was riding that family support a little bit less than it appeared. But like, my family was always at the track. They loved it, you know, but dad, no motorsports background. He literally I bumper towed from Mineral Wells to Rowlett, Texas twice before he taught me how to save up for a trailer. You know what I mean? So like,
That's crazy.
I don't think I was in the group of just like millionaire kid that was like super rich or anything. It was a little bit.
I know, but regardless, if you're 18 years old and you have a race car with a V8
Yeah.
burning off tires,
Yeah.
you have family support that loves you.
Yes,
And
for sure.
I think a lot of people always thought, oh, rich kids are terrible. You're like, no, that'd be sick to have parents that love you so much and are successful they can afford to help.
Dude, shout out to my parents. Literally,
Yeah.
I was a kid that like when I was in high school, they're like, "Yo, Nate, you want to go to college?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay." I'm like, "I'm gonna go skateboard." And they're like, "Okay." And it was like that. My parents
Yeah.
were just like, they're just grassroots. Also, they moved from Michigan to Texas, and they had to start. My dad dug ditches. Like it was just very. They built themselves up. So I feel like I'm kind of like a reflection of them, where I knew over time if I just stick with drifting, it'll come back around. And here we are today, right?
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
And thank you for telling me a very good line, which is ask the sponsors what they want. I always tell them what I'll do. I should just be like, hey, what can I do for you? Which I do sometimes, but like, I always tell them
It's
what
the
they're gonna
only
get.
way, man. Like, think about it. If you're going to partner
Yeah.
with somebody and they don't know what they want, then how does your results reflect that, right? So it's like, if they can't tell you something that they want, then how are you gonna work for them? So
Well, I always have something in mind, and then I approach them with that because I've never really pitched a sponsor.
yeah,
Which it looks like you do a very good job, but I don't pitch sponsors. I just have organic ideas and maybe talk to somebody, and
Yeah.
then like something happens.
Well, right now,
But I
like-
never do cold pitches. I don't have a sponsor deck. I don't do anything.
well, like with VP or with Recaro, I feel like those are just like state. Like I look at those brands.
oh my God, you have Recaro as a sponsor?
yeah, dude.
That's amazing.
This year, it just started.
Oh, I'm
But
gonna have
it's
to
like
try
I
and
feel like
snake
those
that.
are like iconic brands, and so like
Yeah.
I visualized it and then I worked for it. But I would just go up to them and say like, "How can I work for you? Like literally, how do I offer
Yeah.
you a service at the racetrack?"
At SEMA or something?
No, not really, because
No?
it's too polluted
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
either need to
I
do
haven't
it-
been to SEMA in so
You got to
long.
do it before or after, you know. So, at least in my opinion, that's just me.
Interesting. I got a new line. How can I work for you? I love it. All
right, I'll see you guys.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much. I like talking with people because, one, they give me such cool ideas while we're chatting, and it's such like an organic experience chatting with them. And I think it's cool that I don't even have to include the cars to entertain you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and we are going to continue filming stuff. I should be driving right now. I'm at the LZ World Tour, and I'm just making content, which is hilarious. Although it is like the YouTuber Olympics, so I probably should be doing that. One last thing, I need to go find out what happened to this thing. It sounded like bombs went off on this thing. It sounded insane, and then the poor thing broke. So hopefully they get this thing back together. It's so interesting to see people like live their dreams here. Everyone's so on the line for like their whole lives in the moment here. I love it.
And for the business side of things, real quick, round 2 of Lone Star Drift is coming up. There's the information right there, May 20th and 21st. Grant Anderson and I are going to have a rematch after the crash at this event on Sunday during the competition. Taylor Ray's coming out with his rad Corvette. It's going to be a very cool weekend, and we're going to have tons of our other drivers out there. I'm super excited to see everybody in person. I will see you there. And huge shout out to all of the sponsors. WhatMonstersDo.com. They have a new logo directly underneath their old one right there. You can go to their website, use EBISU for the discount code. BC Racing Custom Coilovers, always on my car, thank you so much. NK Wheels, Rip Royal, KBD Body Parts, Body Kits, KBD Body Kits, Velino Tires, Vapetasia, Heatwave, Visual, and Spec Clutches. Thank you so much to these sponsors. And thank you to the patrons that support us over on Patreon.